Welcome to Beyond the Screen, episode 6, the podcast where we dive deeper into the professional lives of an esports creative. I'm your host, Mario Prosperino, co-founder of ESPAT, and we have David Doran enters Sandman. We'll get back to that
Just Sandman.
at a moment's notice.
What's up?
And Eric Olsen, who goes by ex-captain.
Hello.
Were you the captain of your baseball team? Do you like boats? What's your captain?
Man, I would love to be a captain of a boat someday. I think soon, hopefully, but probably like a pontoon or something. No, Captain EO is, this is going to supremely date how old I am. But I don't know if you remember, Captain EO was a Michael Jackson character that was played at Universal. It was like their first 3D thing or whatever. And my name is Eric Olsen. And so Captain EO just kind of became my nickname. So
I didn't know that's where that came from.
What about Enter Sandman? What's are you a Metallica guy, or is that not?
Oh yeah. I'm a huge Metallica fan. Obviously, the song Enter Sandman is a big part of it. But then there was also this character from an anime that controlled sand, and I thought it was the dopest thing. So like back in 2007, when I first made my Xbox Live profile, it just was Sandman, and I just stuck with it, and then it just grew into a much bigger persona than just a name.
Now, when you walk into a Halo event, is that what they play for you?
Dude, I wish, man, someone should set that up. I've been shooting Halo for like 6 years now, so that should totally be a thing.
All right, Halo people, hook up with the Enter Sandman, little Metallica. Cool, man. So. Hey, guys, thanks for jumping on. Give me a quick location as far as where you guys both are right now.
You can go first, Eric.
Okay, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Minnesota, home of the RØKKR.
The north.
South of Minneapolis by about like 20 minutes, 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, I'm from Midwest City, Oklahoma, which is like 8-10 minutes away from Oklahoma City, which is probably the only city anybody knows in Oklahoma, honestly.
So, right after LA, the hotbed for esports and gaming, Oak City, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Hey, man. So, guys, what? Let's go back to March when everything hit the fan around the world. Tell me, we'll start with David. Tell me kind of what you had in mind for 2020 as far as esports, and what have you done since then, both on a personal level and professionally, to kind of adapt with the pandemic?
Sure. So I actually had quite a bit of stuff lined up. It was supposed to be a pretty big year for me. I had a lot of events from the time span of like March to June, with Rocket League and Halo and Call of Duty and Gears and even Apex. And then shit hit the fan and COVID happened and all of that got canceled. So I was like, well, that sucks. And as well, it doesn't suck for me as much as it does probably other people, because I do have a 9-to-5 as well as my freelancing. So I was still able to financially like take care of myself, which I'm thankful for. But it was supposed to be a big year. Halo Infinite was supposed to launch, and I primarily shoot Halo events, so that got X'd with COVID, and then obviously the game being delayed. But since I haven't been able to shoot events, I haven't even touched my camera all year. Besides just like fun little things with my friends, but I have not touched my camera. I haven't done any freelance weddings or anything like that because of COVID. So I've just been taking care of my mental health, honestly. Just hanging out with friends when I can in small groups, making sure my room's clean as much as I can, and then just working my 9-to-5 and just waiting for all this stuff to blow over, and still talking to people, making sure my connections are intact, and just making sure I'm ready to go whenever the stuff's back to normal.
Any new hobbies? Cooking?
I was doing YouTube for a second. I was doing like movie trailer reactions because I love movies and I like watching trailers. So I would just react to those for a little bit. I haven't done it in a while, but other than that, yeah, that's all I was really been doing. I have been buying cassettes. I've been buying a lot of cassettes. That's another. it's a really random. Actually, Eric, hold on. Don't go nowhere.
How much is a cassette?
I was about to leave.
I have Jesus is King.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, I meant to show you that because you were waiting on the vinyl.
I was waiting on the vinyl, but I got it.
Yeah.
Finally, it was like 8 months or 9 months after I ordered it. It finally arrived.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, I literally just A friend of mine got this for me, and I don't know. I like it. It's blue.
Yeah.
But that's something
Oh,
I've
yeah.
been doing. I've just been collecting cassettes. They're only like
What are you
$4.
playing on?
So what? Oh, I have a cassette player over here.
Keep a pencil handy in case it gets kind of stuck and you got to.
Yes.
See, I didn't know that was a thing. Now I do.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we're 80s kids, so yeah, been there, done that.
Yeah,
What about
that's my
you, Eric?
thing.
Take us back to early mid-March and the last 9 months.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I didn't have as much planned as David, apparently, which that sounds awesome. I bummed because I wanted to see more David stuff at events, but I had I had a really funny gig. It was out in Berlin, which was going to be super dope. I was going to fly my wife out afterwards. We were going to tour Germany and Switzerland by train. It was going to be like so sick, but of course that got canceled. But it was a Pokemon trading card tournament. It was like the European finals or something like that. I don't really know. It was through this production company that I get to work with every once in a while, Tenno Media. Shout out Tenno.
I think you told me about this.
Yeah, but so that was all hooked up and ready to go, and I just kept watching the news come in and was like, no, and then it got canceled. So that was really my big thing that got canceled. Usually stuff books kind of late for me, and it's kind of dependent on if I am available. So that didn't really, I didn't get to do that. My main thing is I don't have a 9-to-5 job, but I film weddings primarily. So that's it's very consistent as far as like freelance work goes. So I actually had a pretty busy year still. A lot of people just did like intimate weddings or like smaller groups or whatever. Some people like rescheduled and whatnot, but most of them kind of stuck to it. And I picked up like a pretty big local commercial gig, and then also picked up I was able to film and produce the last couple episodes of RØKKR's Saga series. That was a pretty big project as well. So I actually stayed pretty busy. I'm really now just heading into my slow time because we're on like a more extended lockdown now here in Minnesota. So there's no weddings happening next couple of months or so. And I'm just kind of catching up on my backlog of editing. So now we're going to see, I guess.
You still shot an event though, right? In January? The CDL opener.
You stole my
I got it playing behind me.
You've got that pinned to your Twitter profile, Eric. What was the crew like? Were you one of a few guys and gals that shot that piece for the RØKKR?
That piece was all me, actually. There's a couple clips in there from Charlie Weirkey, who was their video guy at the time. But for the most part, probably 95% of it is all just me. And that was just kind of like, I done work for RØKKR here and there whenever it works for me and them as well. And this was just kind of one of those things where they kind of gave me free license to film and produce what I wanted, which was pretty awesome. Which you don't always get that with organizations, but once you build a little bit of trust, they can kind of lean into that. And so I was able to just film and produce like some short hype pieces for every day. And then they wanted to connect it all in one big event recap. And so we did that at the end of the weekend. And I think it just turned out.
Was that your first time working for a team, Eric?
I mean, kind of. I've filmed for like E6 before, but that was really small. That was like, they didn't even put it out, I don't think, because they didn't end up doing well at that event that I filmed for them. But it was just kind of like on the side when I was working for UMG. So this is, I guess it was kind of the first time I've really worked for a team specifically.
But it's cool though to work for a team that you can actually like root for. Like since you are from Minnesota, like it's a bigger connection than just shooting for some team randomly. Yeah, like it's cool that you get to shoot for your hometown. That's cool.
Yeah, that was like amazing. As soon as I heard that RØKKR was coming to Minnesota, I was blown away because we've never had anything esports related. Yeah, like in Minnesota or anywhere near here. Chicago being the closest, I'm sure, but So immediately I was trying to exercise connections to figure out how I can
bet.
film for them.
For the record, Eric, was the ask a combination of capture the essence of the players and the event? Was more about the RØKKR brand, or was it kind of a balancing act between the RØKKR brand and launch weekend, which obviously included other teams?
I think your mic muted, Eric.
You should be back.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Good camera. Not a good mic, Eric.
I thought he was a video guy.
He is a video guy. Not an audio guy.
Yeah.
He's a really good video guy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're back.
Okay. Weird. I don't know what happened there. Sorry about that.
So yeah, the last question was the ask of the RØKKR. Was it about the RØKKR brand solely, or was it also about capturing the essence of launch weekend as well?
Yeah, good question. So it was for sure like an overall recap. That was the direction that was given, because they had a full-time video guy who was sticking with their players throughout the event. So they wanted me to just kind of capture like the entire essence of the event, because RØKKR was the ones who were hosting it. So it was important to them to have that captured and communicated.
Gotcha. Now, something happened that weekend, which feels like a long time ago, and I believe you were there in the building on Sunday. Were you in the building when Kobe Bryant died suddenly?
Yeah, I was. Actually, I mean, I think it was like early in the morning, so I wasn't quite there yet, but that was definitely all unfolding when I was there. So it was kind of crazy. Like, you kind of got, as like people were discovering the news of it, like the place was kind of falling really silent. And then, I don't know if you remember, but Michael B. Jordan was there, and he was supposed to be doing like a little just like a little piece in between matches where I think he was going to do like a show match kind of thing with somebody.
Yeah.
There was one other guy there too. I can't remember what his name was, but I just, what's that?
There's a couple of NBA players. Yep.
That's right. Yeah. So I was like looking forward to filming that, but they left. I actually was like in like the backstage hallways or whatever, and he walked right by me on his way to the elevator to leave, and I was like, dude, Black Panther, no, T'Challa right there. It was kind of cool to see that they were there. But yeah, that was like it really kind of cast a pall over the whole event that day. So that was really unfortunate. Yeah.
No, yeah, I remember just getting the news. We had a photographer on site shooting for the editorial wire, and all of a sudden he said, hey, a couple of these events are not happening. It's kind of a really, really somber vibe here. And when an iconic athlete, much less an NBA star like Kobe Bryant, leaves us, it has a ripple effect across every sport, including esports and gaming. So that was we didn't have that many esports events in 2020, but that one was obviously one that I remembered because of not only the COD launch weekend, but also on that Sunday, the passing of Kobe Bryant. David, let me turn to you. Take me through kind of like your dream event. You got your credential. What is your mindset? And is it Halo when you're walking in? Is there like, give me that it's game time kind of mentality that you have, and take us, meaning us, who's watching this, maybe an up-and-coming creative as well. What is your mindset from the time you get up, you get to the arena, and you're about to go do your thing?
Dream events. It's definitely a Halo event, but it's got to be a Halo event like on a massive scale, like to the point where you feel like Halo is a tier 1 esport again, like it once was. So like, I don't know, like waking up, getting to the venue before anybody. And it's more so also like, it's not just shooting for like editorial or like a team. It would probably just be shooting almost like for a TO, like having the full free reign of I can go anywhere. They trust me with being on stage, and the players trust me from knowing me for so long. So waking up early, going to the arena, I would hope it'd be an arena, and really scouting out the arena to see where I wanted to be and just setting up potential shots. And because like when it comes to Halo, like I know the players, probably better than they know themselves sometimes, depending on the game that's going on, the match. And so waking up early, going in, scouting it all, and just kind of getting a feel for how it's going to work, and just shooting like, arena shots that it's empty, and then seeing people come in and just capturing Halo on the biggest scale possible. Like, which is I've done before on a decently big scale, but I want to do it on a scale of like a Call of Duty event or like a Counter-Strike event, which I think it's possible with like a new game. But I just want to shoot a Halo event that's going to feel that's going to be better than anything I've ever done. Like every shot I take is iconic. Every shot I take is used on ESPN, or it's used on ESPAT, or it's shared everywhere to really get people to see Halo for the esport that it is, which has always been my true goal, is to photograph a game that I love to help spread it to other people.
So this is a game that you've kind of grown up playing, and now it's kind of transcended to a profession for you?
Yes. I've been playing Halo since 2004, 2005 with Halo 2. And it's been a game that has been much more than just a game to me. I've made friendships through it. I've became an esports photographer because of it. It's much more than just another esport for me, which is why I always put it ahead of shooting any other opportunity that I get, because it is so important to me, and I want to make sure that I can do my part for the community that I enjoy to help it grow and help it get eyes on it, because not a lot of people pay attention to it as much anymore.
Is there a specific team or teams that you really like to be front and center with?
Oh, absolutely. Probably any team with Spartan the dog. He's a very emotional player, and emotion is perfect for a camera. Any kind of upset team, any team that will beat Sentinels in a grand final, resetting the bracket, going to game 11. Because Sentinels is like one of the best teams in Halo. So any team that can get to that point and win, they show the emotion, and I love that. Any kind of underdog team.
Eric, let's turn to you. Tell us more about like your teen years, your youth, Atari, Nintendo, Sega. Were you a gamer as a kid?
Atari.
I didn't want to date you that far back.
No, that's totally fine. I'm an old guy. No, I mean, I grew up loving video games. Like other kids would want to play outside, and I would want to go to their house because they had video games, and I didn't I didn't get a system until I was in like 3rd grade, 4th grade, something like that. So, but I had a pool, so friends would be like, "Hey, can we come over and swim in your pool?" I'm like, "I want to go over to your house to play video games. I don't care about the pool." Yeah, but then I got same as David. Halo was really the big one for me that got me into esports and like competitive gaming. We would play Halo at college, and like I had kids on my floor who had to drop out of school because they were playing so much.
Oh my
Halo.
gosh!
And luckily, I had a really easy degree, so I would be playing till like 4 a.m. and then like go to class at 8 or whatever. But yeah, we just loved Halo. I always have. Halo 3 I got like super addicted to. With Xbox Live, of course, being like fresh at the time, is like it was insane to just be always able to play people. But yeah, so then, downfall of Halo, kind of a bummer, but I still enjoyed all the Halo games, just none of them captured anything for me the same way that Halo 3 did and the first Halos. So I'm looking forward to Halo Infinite, just like David is, really. But I've played like a bunch of different stuff. I played Call of Duty here and there, so I enjoy that a lot. Loving Cold War right now, actually. It's super fun. And then I also enjoy fighting games. I guess you're talking about like just me personally, but I've been talking about what video games I like. Yeah, so I've lived in Minnesota my whole life, and for a little while we lived up north, but then we ended up coming back down here. That's when I really started this gig as my full-time career. I actually thought I invented wedding videography, but it turns out that was actually already a thing. I just didn't know about it. So, but around here, it didn't seem like there was that much great videography going on. So I felt like I could start a business, and then that's when I got into this. And right at the same time that I started this was when I got connected to esports and ended up building that network out as well. And so I've just kind of been doing that ever since.
Was there somebody, Eric, was there somebody that kind of was instrumental in opening up a door for you to get into esports? Did you kind of do it on your own, or was there a connection of yours that was kind of like an icebreaker moment for you?
I kind of just did it on my own initially. Initially, it was UMG was looking for some media help. This is kind of funny. It was actually Optic Hitch was filming for UMG. And then when he left to do whatever, I think he just was going to do his own thing. Or no, did he go to like Scuff or something? I can't remember.
He might have.
Yeah. Anyway, when he left, that's when they like posted on Twitter that they were looking for somebody to come and do some stuff. And I just reached out to them through that on Twitter. And then they liked the stuff I showed them. They flew me out to an event, and this was just like on a trial basis, and they really liked what I did there. And then they just kind of put me on the production team. I ended up going.
That's how I even know who you are, Eric, is because of UMG events, like UMG Call of Duty events.
That's how I like got to know everybody. So UMG was my first break, and then as far as like people who helped after that, there's just a lot of different people that ended up making connections with, and then I think it was through Puckett that I met. I met Puckett through UMG, and then I got into some MLG events through him.
That's where we met, 2015 New Orleans.
Worlds? Oh, or no. No, Worlds, yeah.
Yep.
World Finals or whatever it was.
Yep.
That's when we first met. Okay, I'm glad you remember that. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I remember.
Event.
I skipped shooting the grand finals to go shoot Korn.
It's a good band.
Yeah, it was my first concert I ever shot. I had to do it.
Nice.
Good 90s band.
Yeah.
David, tell me more about when we talk about community, photographers, videographers, graphic designers, just creatives, but also talent. You just mentioned Puckett. Are you guys building relationships with talent as well in venue? And how cool are these guys and gals that we see on stage and on the desk?
I mean, I've made a lot of good friends with talent, specifically Halo talent. But the people who are Halo talent are also talent in others esports. Mm-hmm. Like I'm really good friends with Alex Mendez, Goldenboy.
Brooklyn born, right?
Yeah, Brooklyn born. Like Alex is one of the greatest people I've ever met, and he doesn't. I remember when I first met him, he hadn't been at the level that he's at now, like Titans and stuff like that. But now who he is, like he doesn't treat me any different. He treats me the same as he always has when I first met him. He's so humble, and he's so just inviting to talk to as a person.
Yeah.
Like Alex is one of my favorite people. But a lot of the other talent in Halo are some of the people that we all kind of like in the new era of competitive Halo, we all grew with it and the same. So the talent, the players, and myself, we all grew with it together. So Sims, Walshy, Clutch, Wonderboy, Onset, all of us were new to it, and we became friends while we were all like taking care of each other, basically. And obviously being
growing up together within esports. Yeah. I mean, there's not somebody who's been on stage for 25 years and you guys have been shooting for 5. It's kind of like you guys came up 2015 together, right?
Right. So that's why it's cool to see like Onset and T Squared and Bravo do things with Apex, and then you're seeing Alex Mendez, Goldenboy over here doing everything. I don't even know how he sleeps. So I definitely think the connections with talent is important, and I think it's a very special kind of thing, because when you're taking their photograph or you're videotaping them, you're almost doing, you have to respect them, because you want to make them look good. Like you don't want to show them in a bad light or any kind of way that's going to make them look less than they already are.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've made a ton of friends through talent, and I know you have as well, Eric. I mean, you know Puckett, you know Mr. X. You've shot both their weddings.
Yeah.
So I mean, you definitely have a connection with talent.
Yeah, I filmed Puckett's wedding and Matt Morello, Mr. X's wedding as well. That was just last fall, a year ago.
Did you get the Mr. X Matt Morello wedding through because of because what you did with Puckett's wedding?
Yeah, I mean, kind of. Mr. X and I were friends before then, because he actually worked for UMG for a little bit. Yeah, that's right. So we like collaborated specifically on certain projects with them and whatnot, and just kind of became friends through that. But then I think it was that he saw that I did Puckett's wedding, and so when he got married, he knew that he should reach out to me for that. That was awesome, though. Both those guys flew me across the country to go film their weddings, which is
they were good too. They were really good.
Did Puckett do his speech, and how was it?
Dude, Puckett, so he's one of the most genuine dudes in esports. I mean, you have to be like a social guy or whatever, but just like David is saying, like, if you get just talking with Puckett, he's just a really genuine dude. Super nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I slid into his DM. We have a really cool shot of him on stage for Overwatch launch, which was at the same time. And he's copying his wife, saying, "Let's frame this," and then an email to me. So, yeah, I don't know him as well as you guys do, but really cool dude, man. He's awesome.
What's cool too is, like, I mean, I'm sure Eric can even say the same thing, but since he casted every Halo event back in the day when Halo was in its prime, like, he's like the voice of a childhood, essentially. Like, when I think Halo, I think of Puckett, you know. So
absolutely,
his voice is iconic. So even hearing him, if he gave like a wedding speech, it would be like he's casting like a Halo event. It'd be weird to hear it. Yeah. It's weird to hear him casually talk.
He's one of those guys where, like, you know, they say never meet your heroes, but you should meet Puckett. He's pretty awesome.
Puckett's really cool.
Yeah. Let's talk about the community. You guys obviously are very friendly and very social on Twitter, what have you. David, who are you big fans of, both on stills and video? You know, whose work is out there that you're like, wow, this guy's killing it, or this gal's killing it?
I mean, obviously Eric on the video side of things. Eric, my good buddy Paul, like both of the. Yeah, Eric and Paul are two like my favorites, and every time anybody, speaking of that, Paul just replied to it on Twitter. That's funny. But like anytime anybody ever asks me, "Hey, do you know anybody who does video?" I always suggest Eric and Paul. Like, they're the first two people I always go to. In regards to on the photo side, there's so many. Oz from Astro being the big one. Like, I know he doesn't really shoot photos as much anymore, but without him, I wouldn't be here. He gave me my first shot shooting for Astro, and I'm a big fan of his old Halo photos back in the day, like 2005, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then his brother.
Pioneer, really.
Say what?
He's the pioneer.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of people don't. I mean, I'm not gonna say a lot of people do know it, but a lot of people don't talk about it as much anymore. But he's definitely a pioneer. Like, he's been doing it for so long. And then obviously his brother, Oreo, he doesn't do as much esports anymore, but his genuine, like, his fashion sense and his attitude and just all like the fashion photography that he does is tier 1. And it's something I wish I could do. And then on the esports side of things, Robert Paul, Eric, not you, Eric, the other Eric. Sorry, Eric. And then what's his name? Rick Locke. He's insane. The stuff he's done with Team Liquid is like some of my favorite shots I've ever seen. Steph, she's freaking amazing. She even shot the last Halo event like last year before COVID hit, and she did an amazing job. There's just so many people that I love in the photography community that I aspire and that aspire to be like, and that constantly make me want to be better. Every time they go to an event, I'm like, dude, they're gonna get some insane shots, and I wait for it. I literally tell Robert Paul all the time, I'll be waiting waiting for the shots, man. I saw you on the stage on the live feed. Let me see it. And yeah, a lot of these guys, man, they're just some of the best in the business, and it really makes you want to step up your game every time you see their stuff. Like they just keep getting better.
And they're great cheerleaders, and I see it from afar how they're genuinely rooting for everybody else. You see with the esports awards, everybody wants to win it, right? Both on video and still. Only one person can win it, but when it's not that person, you see that genuine, applause and gratitude to another person.
Absolutely.
Which makes this community really, really great. And I think there's so many opportunities, and eventually when we get back to normalcy, there's plenty of work for a freelancer out there. And I think if we root for each other, we'll get to a better place. In my opinion.
I agree.
Eric, who are you big fans of on the storytelling side?
Yeah, totally. The funny thing is, I am most often more inspired by the photographers than I am by the videographers. Just because maybe it's just because I don't spend a ton of time watching all of the esports content. I do watch some, but I don't watch like a ton of it. But you see the photos often, and there's just a lot of guys that can tell like an amazing story through their photos. Like David's stuff is amazing. Capturing the moments is really good. Like he said, Oreo, I think, is one of the best talents out there right now. If I were to like do an event, I would hire him and tell him to just go crazy on the creativity side, because his stuff is like the way he sees things at an event is really dope. You should go back and look at his MLG events that he did, and just kind of discard like the generic ones that everybody has to do, and look at like the fashion side ones. They're just so dope.
He also has the attitude for it. Like he's not afraid to do anything.
Right. So anyway, kind of on that like stint, like anybody connected to Astro on the media side is phenomenal. And I think that's probably partly from Enrique being kind of like the head of all that. So his quality control over there is really amazing. So all of the guys that have been involved there are super, super good. Travis currently over there right now, his stuff is just amazing. On the product side, I don't think you're going to find anybody better. His product photography is just top notch. And then he's done like some video stuff as well. That's really, really nice. Vaughn.
Vaughn's the man.
What's Vaughn Visuals? Is that his tag? I think.
Yeah.
He was crazy there and then moved up to Logitech, the parent company. His stuff is friggin' amazing. Cassidy used to film for Astro, but then he started full time at Cloud9 a number of years ago. He's really phenomenal. Let's see. The issue with like a lot of the videographers in the space right now is I don't understand their color correcting choices, and their like they just use super flat images. Like they're trying to make it look, I don't really know, like street hype kind of look, which I don't like. So I end up liking a lot of videographers that do work similar to what I would say is really cool. So I mean, there's a handful out of them out there doing good stuff, but
a lot of it's a team effort too. Like one up with like Damien and his team, and then Logan and 100 Thieves team. Like a lot of it's not even just like one guy. It's just giant. It's just the collective teams that they have are insane.
Do you guys see a trend coming? And obviously, not every organization could obviously underwrite a studio, but in the scheme of things, like a One Up Studios and Team Liquid, will you start seeing more orgs start having that studio arm within the facility?
I do. I think so.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about like just like teams or?
Yeah, Team Liquid, One Up. You have United Studios now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like they're branching off, and
I mean, it's basically like what Hex always says, like content is king. He's been saying that 20 years now. It feels like So I mean, I think it's smart to have an in-house dedicated studio working just to make content for your team. And even like what United Studios is doing is branching out as well. So they're not just solely making United content, which they are, but they're also branching out and doing other things, which I think is smart.
Yeah, and they're getting commissioned by other orgs as well, which is pretty cool. Eric, are you a follower of documentaries? Have you seen pieces like High Score on Netflix, League of Legends? Do you think there's actually a bigger need for a docuseries like that?
Yeah, definitely. So the funny thing is, like, I get a lot of my inspiration comes from like movies I really love and documentaries, but not necessarily ones related to gaming. But I have seen some of that stuff, and I do think like that kind of stuff would be really effective. But sometimes it has to be connected to such like a superstar, or people just don't really see it. Like this past year, I got once like Optic said they were coming back into Optic, and 100 Thieves are like going back to their original owners and coming into COD. I saw comments of people saying like, "Oh, good, finally there's going to be content in the league." When RØKKR's been doing a docuseries this entire like last year, and it's just like it's kind of frustrating because I don't know. I think the problem is mainly like content delivery. Like, how is it getting in front of a bunch of eyeballs to see it? Because there is that stuff out there now that is really great. Like I think the RØKKR series was awesome until it went to online. It was hard to really make something good then. But and then I'm sure we're gonna have 100 Thieves, Call of Duty docuseries going on.
I agree with you though, Eric. I agree with you about the superstar point. Like, I think that unless your brand is gigantic, 100 Thieves, Optic, if you have a star player, people will watch. Like, I look at it, and this is no like slight to United, but I look at it like with the United when they picked up Clayster, and then they started adding other players after him to their roster while doing, the Ascent. Their content was a lot more interesting because you want to root for Clayster.
Right.
He hasn't gotten the win in a billion days or whatever it was. Like, I do think that having that star player, or having the big org name, or having the interesting storyline, like because of things that have happened, or like the three key things that people, that's the reason you're going to watch it. I mean, I watched the Ascent because I'm a fan of Clayster, and he was starting to build steam with this team, and I'm like, oh man, he might get a win, and sure enough, they did. And then same thing, I watch like 100 Thieves content because it's 100 Thieves, and I know it's going to be insane, and then I watch the Optic stuff because of the entire history with it. So it's interesting why people watch what they watch.
Do you think, David, the high degree of turnover within orgs hurts the sport when it comes to storytelling?
Turnover in regards to the players?
Players, yeah. He's going from United, then Dallas, now he's in New York. So you're a fan of him, but you really can't latch on to the organization.
Correct. And that's other people probably can latch onto the organization because it was still cool to watch that team win 2 events back to back, one being a world championship. I do think that a turnover can hurt. Like, if you lose a star player, that episode that you make about him departing and leaving is going to be watched heavily, obviously. But then I feel like not your content, but I feel like everything after, unless you pick up another star player or another player that's being heavily talked about, I feel like your content is going to take a somewhat of a dive, because not only are you getting, because now, like with Clayster, for example, like the Subliners, not only are they getting a champion, a three-time champion, now they're getting somebody who they know people will watch content-wise because he is who he is. And it's the same thing like with Optic. That's why Heck's so adamant about having all their players do content, because if they have screen time, they're a content creator, so then people will watch them because they're building their own individual fan base, opposed to just being another player. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
But do you think there's actually an opportunity? This is like chicken and the egg. It's like you guys watch Hard Knocks, which is a 20-year piece on HBO, collaboration, NFL and NFL Films. They're not there to literally focus on the star quarterback. They literally pluck out the third string tight end who's fighting for his life, fighting for his job, Will he make the team? Will he not make the team? His wife is pregnant at home. If he doesn't make the team, what is that going to mean to him? Does he quit? Does he become an insurance salesman? So sometimes you don't need that star player.
Yeah, for sure.
But through storytelling, you could actually just become a fan of somebody and say, wow, like I'm rooting for this guy. I mean, I'll sit there and watch Hard Knocks. I'm like, I hope he makes the team. Like I'm rooting for this guy.
Yeah.
So what do you think about that, Eric, as far as like chicken and the egg here with talent versus, maybe a kind of an underdog?
I totally that's kind of what I've always felt, is that the story is the king, and that a lot of these guys who are not the main attractions are honestly way more interesting. There's just so much going on in a lot of these guys. A lot of them have really unique stories. The problem is that, if it's like sitting on Netflix or sitting on ESPN, people are like, oh, I've seen that around, I guess I'll try it out. And it kind of gets people that way. But with esports content, it goes up on Twitter. It's gone in like a few hours. It goes
moves so quick.
It's gone in a few days. Without the star power or somebody with a massive following behind it, it gets lost in our current delivery systems. But I think that's the kind of thing that should be, we need like a YouTube channel or something to get popular, not because of the star power, but because of how good the content is, the quality and the storytelling and whatnot. And then I think it would be perfect for that kind of thing, because there's so many stories in the esports community that just don't really get told because they're not about, somebody that's at the very top. So I would love to see what you're describing happen. But in the current delivery system, I just don't see how it could gain enough traction. I wish it would.
I think the Gears of War people did things like this pretty well. Like they would go out of their way and travel to the top 6, top 12 teams, like a lot of the players, and do these kind of storylines on players that may not be like the biggest player in the scene, but they would go out of their way and they would make content on these players so you can get to know these players and know their stories, because a lot of them may have come from like a hard background and this is like their livelihood and they're doing this for their family and things like that. Like I remember Gears of War esport content team was really, really, really good about that. I don't know who was doing it, but they were really good at it.
They sunk so much money into their content. I just don't understand it. I love it. It's great. Yeah. But I filmed at a UGC Las Vegas.
Yeah, I was there with you.
Yeah, you were there with me. Yeah, we were both filming that one. That one was really funny. Just a side note, because Tom Taylor T-Squared reached out to me on Twitter and was like, "Hey, I really love your stuff. I want to bring you out to film this." And I'm like, You what? Like, you're a legend. Like, why are you reaching out to me? It's crazy.
Pepper bottles.
Anyway, yeah, I know, right? So, but anyway, we were at this event and they had like a 7-person media team for Gears of War, and it was like they had like a couple guys that were like just a director or like an assistant director, and then like a bunch of grips and like just like a full studio setup for this esports event, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
But it was like, wow, I feel like you're wasting some of that money, but go for it. I'd rather see better content out there.
Eric, do you have an opinion on the franchise model, you being in the backyard of the Minnesota RØKKR? They just finished their first year in Call of Duty. We didn't get a chance to see it kind of evolve from city to city, but what's your take on the on whether it's Overwatch or Call of Duty on the franchise model?
Well, actually, this kind of ties into what I was saying about like more interesting content being out there, because prior to the franchise model, other than Optic or FaZe, literally no other team got any sort of recognition. United did really well with their social and their content. They were starting to get some recognition, but every other team, I don't feel like they got hardly any eyeballs on them at all. Even if like a big org came in and scooped up a COD team, it was the same thing like you're saying. Like they would have a different team different players every event or whatever, and it just was not gaining any sort of traction. But the franchise model kind of flipped that all on its head, gave people a reason to root for other teams. So I actually love it. I think it's really great. I knew it was going to be successful when they started it. I think it's only going to get much more successful once we can start to have LANs in person again.
Yeah.
When
the camera was off, did you have any conversations or a quick, chat with Gary Vaynerchuk at all?
I actually never met Gary. I've just like, he was never there because he's not local to Minnesota.
Yeah.
So trying to remember if he was. Yeah, the only time I saw him was at the invitational event, so I never actually got to meet him.
Yeah.
I did get to meet
on his YouTube, he's very passionate about it, and he had a Q&A session that weekend. You guys can catch it. And he's he's a stick and ball guy. His claim to fame is that he's going to buy the New York Jets one day. So him and I were some of the biggest Jet fans here in New York. But obviously, a successful entrepreneur. Now he's diving into esports. He has a relationship and a history with the Will family. Now he's branched off and started Vayner Gaming. They've signed Booga, who's on their roster as well. They handle all the marketing and the promotion for Booga. So having somebody like Gary V in the ecosystem is phenomenal. And we'll see what kind of influence he has with the Minnesota RØKKR.
Yeah. I think he's definitely influenced their content. He's a very content-driven guy and kind of like content, which I think works really well in the social media space. For people like David and I, like we only like quality content, so it's like a kind of a different model, but they still do quality content. They just mix in a lot of like really quick content with it. And I think that's very much the Gary V strategy working for them.
Yeah. David, let me turn to you. What's some of the good, the bad, and the ugly with being a creative in our industry, and be as humble and no filter as you want? What are some of the things that you've liked so far? What are some of the challenges? What are some of the things that, are there some pet peeves that's going on in the industry that you want to shed some light on? No Twitter beef, right? Everybody's cool on Twitter these days?
No, yeah. I personally don't have any Twitter beef. I hope not. Not that I know of, unless someone has Twitter beef with me and they just don't tell me.
Actually, I do. That's
you have Twitter beef?
Bring up today.
1v1 Halo 3, bro. Let's go.
Are you guys doing fleets, or you're not a fleet guy?
I'll fleet.
I don't know. I did a couple of them. I probably won't really do them.
Here's my cat. Here's my dog.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'll fleet. I won't fleet like every day, but I'll fleet. Weird word.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm having a hard time with the fleets.
Yeah, I don't understand it. But going back to your question, though, I mean, I'm sure everybody's difficulties are different based on just how you come up into the scene. Everybody enters it different ways. I personally, I've always struggled with just meeting people and making the connections that help you grow into the industry, and that's a big part of that. It's just I'm not a social guy. I'm very antisocial. So I go in, I do my job, I go back to my hotel and eat a pizza. I don't go to the after parties and meet people and things like that. I do my job and I let my work speak for itself, and if they like it, then hopefully that transpires from that. But I think just making connections is one of the hardest parts in general for me. I don't know if it is for you, Eric. Like, I know Eric and I have talked about many times about how it almost feels like you have to be on Twitter. Like, you have to be on Twitter to not necessarily make connections all the time or get jobs all the time, but it really feels like you have to make yourself present constantly on social media to almost remind people, hey, I'm here. I do this too. You can hire me if you'd like. So I think it's interesting that how Twitter dominates a space for it, but that doesn't always necessarily mean for everyone, because some people aren't on Twitter as much and they're still getting jobs because they know how to connect with people. So I think that's one of the biggest issues that I always struggle with. Is I'm always, how do I even get in contact with these people to work for them? You can email them, you can add them on LinkedIn. Whether they respond is a whole different story.
Yeah.
And can you refresh me on the rest of your question?
Is there I mean, I don't think there's any there's nothing toxic about our industry or this community.
No.
I think there's maybe a couple of pet peeves out there. I'll answer your question for you. I think it's the oldest trick in the book is just literally create a tear sheet and send it to the TO, send it to the social media manager at that org, and just kind of like wow them with your passion, and you done your homework, and
Yeah.
maybe in Eric's case a little sizzle or something, but just literally just market yourself. And they love seeing photographs or content of their org or their players, and sometimes you'll be surprised. You'll get a quick response saying player XYZ is asking if they could use this picture for Instagram or for Twitter.
Sure.
And that's where you've known you've done a good. Just kind of kill them with kindness and just share your work. Go directly to the source.
And it's happened. I mean, it's definitely happened before. Like I have managed to contact certain people and get a hold of them and shared my work and my passion and my what I want to do with this company or this TO or this team or this player. And it has gotten me a couple of jobs before. And then other ones I'm like, I don't even know how to get in contact with this person.
Yeah.
But in regards to like pet peeves of the industry and like photography, besides like little, like not little things, but besides things like lighting at events, I feel like that you want your event to be shown off, whether it's video or photo. And I feel like a lot of productions don't compensate that with good lighting to help a photographer or a videographer. So then that makes it very difficult for the photographer or the videographer to do their job. And I think media access. I think media access is a giant one. I feel like sometimes that people are just giving out passes for media like it's nothing, which then kind of clutters the space and makes it kind of difficult to. It makes it feel like a media pass doesn't do anything. More so, like I think you get this media badge and you expect, all right, cool, I'm going to do my job and I should be able to do it flawlessly, and there should be a space for media to where I can shoot without getting in the way of others or others getting in the way of me. And that's not really the case at a lot of events. A lot of the time you think that you're able to come in here and do this thing, and then there's like 100 people with cameras in front of you, and that's fine. They can do that. But I just feel like there needs to be a more designated, organized route for people who are media in regards to where they need to be when they're shooting. I'm not saying there needs to be 30 people on stage at once, because that's very obnoxious and ruins the production value of everything. But there needs to be some kind of organization in it. Like whenever I shot DreamHack Dallas at the CSGO Masters, they roped off an area for media people, like people with media badges and photographers who are working with the teams or the TO or any kind of editorial, and they would rope it off, and that's where you sat. And then anybody else behind us, if they had cameras, that's fine, but they had to sit behind that area. Same thing whenever we worked together at the LCS Spring Split, they had designated roped off areas on each side, and that's where you shot. So like things like that are good. Just other events that I've been to have just been very unorganized in regards to where to go and where you're allowed to be, and you don't really feel like you have the necessary space to shoot sometimes.
And by the way, we got a very, very pleasant email from LCS saying David Doran is welcome anytime. So
good, because that's probably the biggest event I've shot.
Yeah, well, it's a big Team Liquid trophy race. So yeah, awesome. Eric, what about you? Any pet peeves? Where can venues improve the experience?
Pet peeves. I mean, the access thing is annoying. Typically, I've been working for the actual event or for the org that's running it, so I've always had like the all access. So
that's
for me, it's kind of nice because all of those media people can't get in there. But the few events that I've done, like access like that, they usually do. They're way too liberal with that media badge. Like you got people with GoPros up there as media people, and it's like it shouldn't be that way. But I mean, I get it. Like a lot of these, I'd say the main problem with esports is like a lot of the timing of it. Like everything is so last minute. Everything is so rushed. Like they're usually not thinking down to that granary level of like who should get media access.
Yeah.
Or if they should come up with a different system for that. That's usually like so far down on the list they're not quite getting to that. So that's definitely a problem. The whole last minute thing is just kind of always a problem, especially for me. Like I'm mostly booked for 2021 already, so stuff like just last minute events is hard to fit into a schedule. But
yes, it is.
if I were to know stuff like a year in advance, I could like block that date off and whatnot. So that's most of my pet peeves are with that. My other pet peeve, I think I kind of touched on it a little bit, is like, well, I guess to piggyback on David's thing, the whole networking thing, I enjoyed it because I'm more social than David is, although I like being social with David, so I don't know where that ends us. But so I've actually liked getting to know people and like networking and even like going to the bars and stuff afterwards and whatnot and kind of working that way. But I also believe that I'm good. So I feel good about that. But I end up seeing a lot of people who are just not good end up in like good positions, or people end up trusting them to do stuff just because they've been networking hard and talking themselves up a lot, and they just end up sucking. And I'm always bummed when I see somebody get a job that it's like, really, there's so many good people that should have gotten that over you. Yes. But or like awards too. I guess that's probably another thing is I feel like the award shows are they're good for some things, and then like some people that are deserving do end up getting those awards, but a lot of them like there was an award that got given out a few years in a row to people who weren't even really doing that thing, without getting too specific.
Yeah.
That kind of is a pet peeve of mine, but in the end, I don't know. I don't really care because, like David said, like at some point you're just like, I'll just do my work and do as good as I can and let that speak for itself. And then like the people that you do, there's a lot of fake people in the industry, so getting to know like the real cool people in the industry, the real good people, even like the stars, like I said, like Chris Puckett, Courage, Jack Dunlop is like one of my favorites. We filmed a ton in the UMG days, and because he was just like a C-desk caster back then, but he was so fun to be with and so fun to like film with, and he was always down to do it. And I knew that he was going to get big at some point, but I didn't think he was going to be anywhere near this big. And then I saw him last year at Mr. X's wedding, and he just like came up to me, give me a big hug, and like we chatted a little bit. And I'm like, dude, how do you even remember who I am? Like, you're just this insane superstar.
Yeah.
So fake people in the industry definitely are a pet peeve, but there are a lot of real good people, even at the top levels. So actually, that's probably what helps you get to the top level, I'm sure.
Absolutely, and appreciate the candor and for sure. So last question. Hopefully, you guys did some homework. 3 dinner guests at the table.
Oh shit!
All right, let's go with David first. Let's see what's in his head, and this will give us a good idea as far as who the real Sandman is.
The real Sandman. So 3 dinner guests, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Christopher Nolan, Roger Deakins.
Whoa, are we at the same dinner?
Hey man, what's up? Are you the third? And probably, I was thinking about this earlier. Those 2 were the easy ones. Probably. This is really random, but probably like Lane Staley from Alice in Chains.
That's a good rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a humongous Alice in Chains fan, so
What's your favorite track?
Probably. I really like Angry Chair. I don't know. It's probably
Angry Chair acoustic.
Actually, yeah. Well, the whole MTV Unplugged that they did is insane. It's so good.
That was the one band that was on my list. I never got a chance to see with Lane Stanley.
And that's as a music photographer now. It's like them, Nirvana.
Yeah.
Stone Temple Pilots, a lot of the old school like grunge gods who are gone now, and I'll never get to photograph, are just kind of like, you just always wonder kind of thing. You look
Yeah.
at past photos and videos, and it's what it is. But the other two, Christopher Nolan's my favorite director. That actually right there is him. And then Roger Deakins is just one of my favorite cinematographers. He's incredible behind a camera. He knows how to work it. Master of light and shadow.
Yep, you're not the only one who's mentioned him. Yeah, real quick on music, man. Early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a couple years older than you, but what a scene. I mean, you had
90s grunge is like some of my favorite music of all time.
Early '90s out of Seattle. I mean,
yes.
And you had bands like just Seven Mary Three, like not the Nirvanas and not the like Pearl Jams, but like so many other bands that were under the radar. But you had early '90s grunge, and MTV was still a thing, and it was like one hit. I mean, Soundgarden,
yes.
and Alice in Chains, and hit after a hit, and here comes like other bands, and Alice in Chains was just right there, and when you heard him sing, it was just.
Oh, and there are certain songs where you really see him shine on it, like what's Heaven Beside You is so different, like it doesn't sound like any of his other songs. So when you listen to that, and then you go and listen to like Wood, it's just such a insane change, and his voice is incredible, especially if you want go listen to like Nutshell. If you want to cry, go listen to Nutshell.
Yeah, I've always said when we used to walk into the bar or the pub at late hour, midnight, and Man in the Box came on.
Yeah, man.
It was on, man. Man in the Box came on right now. If you can't get through your workout, you put on Man in the Box.
They literally they play Alice in Chains here all day.
Yeah,
like constantly on the radio stations here in Oklahoma. So it's nice to be able to just flip it on, and there's Rooster. Oh, there's Wood. There's Heaven Beside You. There's Angry Chair. Nutshell. Like they play them all here, which is cool.
Well, listen, we found a common thread between you and me.
Yeah, man. I love Alice in Chains.
What about Eric's table?
Nobody from Alice in Chains over there.
Don't say Celine Dion. I don't know who you're gonna come with.
No. I mean, no disrespect to Celine Dion, but I'm not. David actually hit on something that I would have brought Christopher Nolan, probably Roger Deakins as well, because those guys are amazing. So I'll go a little different route. I'll take Zack Snyder. I would love to sit down with him and just talk through his movies, talk through
that's weird.
The upcoming Justice League Snyder Cut. I'm so excited for that. I'd also take Kanye West 100%.
Oh my gosh, what a table.
Oh man. You almost, if you put Kanye West at the table, I don't even know if you could put anybody else on it. I don't know if you would.
They wouldn't have time to talk.
Yeah. And then let's go. I would bring. Hey, David, correct me. Is Paul Thomas Anderson is the director, right?
Yeah.
Of There Will Be Blood. That's his name.
Yes.
Paul Thomas Anderson.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that's his name. I would bring him. Yeah. I could talk about There Will Be Blood for like hours.
Legendary movie. Legendary.
Love that movie. Top 2 for me.
Oh yeah,
right under Interstellar.
I watched it at like 4 a.m. for the first time, and I hated it because it was 4 a.m. But then I watched it like a year later, and it's an insanely good film.
It's so good. I rewatch it probably yearly, at least every couple of years. I love it. Daniel Day-Lewis, like he would be an awesome.
It's his best movie.
Oh, amazing!
Easily his best film.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting little commingled dinner that you guys both got there. So
Kanye West.
I want to thank both of you for your time. Time is of the essence these days, and from what you guys are doing, and yeah, let's do this in 2021. Have a great holiday season as well. Hope you guys get everything that's on your list. More importantly, health and our well-being is paramount. And I honestly think, guys, that I'm an optimistic guy by nature, and I try to stay away from those who are pessimistic. I don't watch the news that often. I don't really talk about COVID. I think this country and this world is in for a rebound that is going to really shock us and knock our socks off.
Give me some of that energy.
Don't quote me, but let's just call it May or June. When I say a rebound, like think of a celebration of life, and that's going to include entertainment, concerts, rock shows, and esports, and we're going to look back and say, what did we do in 2020 that got us ready for 2021? So we just can't sit here and just cry in our pillow every night. We have to keep working and more importantly, have a really good outlook on life. So that's just me talking. I'm an optimistic guy, so I hope you guys
I like it.
Are optimistic as well. And we're here for you anytime you guys want to just catch up and be a soundboard for you guys.
Sounds good, man.
Have a great holiday. I really appreciate this. And again, I want to thank David Doran and Eric Olsen.
Nice, man.
Oklahoma City, again, the hotbed for esports, and Minneapolis, the home of the RØKKR. All right, guys, we will talk soon.
All right, sounds good, man. Thank you.
All right.
See ya.